Thank you for listening to this PodcastOne production. Available on Apple Podcasts and PodcastOne.
This episode of the Steve Austin Show is brought to you free today by our friends at BetOnline.ag. The middle of summer just keeps heating up with Major League Baseball and the UFC keeping the sports action hot while the NFL preseason is only 2 weeks away. Get in the mix at BetOnline.ag and use the promo code PodcastOne for your 50% welcome bonus. BetOnline.ag, your online sportsbook experts and exclusive partner of PodcastOne Sportsnet.
The following program is a PodcastOne.com production.
From Hollywood, California, by way of the Broken Skull Ranch, this is the Steve Austin Show.
Give me a hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Now, here's Steve Austin.
All right, everybody, welcome to Steve Austin Show. I'm about to open up a big can of audio whoop ass with my guest today, third-generation professional wrestler, Chavo Guerrero. We're going to be talking all things professional wrestling. We're going to be talking about Glow Season 3. It's about to start streaming on Netflix. Yep, they got Season 3 out of it. Everybody's loving this show. Chavo has a big hand in this show, training the women, overseeing the sequences, directing the wrestling. So we're going to talk Glow, and we're also booking the territory. 2 grizzled veterans. That's right. Me and Chavo are going to sit there and book the territory and talk a little bit about the business and some of the things that we see going on today and things that play into the past. Nonetheless, 2 guys shooting the breeze and also drinking some cold cerveza. Chavo brought over some of his beer, Los Guerreros Fine Mexican Lager. It's a real nice beer, 5% alcohol. Chavo brought over some 16-ounce cans, and man, he goes, man, do you want to drink one? I said, it's a little bit early. He came over at 11 a.m. So we start shooting the breeze, and, before you know it, about an hour and a half into the conversation, we're popping the top on a couple of Los Guerreros. If you can find this beer, check out later on the podcast where he says you can find the beer. It's a damn good beer. It's a Mexican lager, as the label says, and as Chavo says. Drinks real easy, good taste, doesn't fill you up. At 5%, won't knock your head off. You can have a couple and still function. So I had a good time shooting the breeze and talking with Chavo. That's a really good beer. Great label on the beer can by a talented artist. And a good conversation, man. It's always good seeing Chavo. I think he sent out a picture of us from 316 Gimmick Street. And like he said in the Instagram posts, we didn't always, hang out too much when we were in WWE together. I was doing my thing and he was doing his. But, man, we have a lot in common, from camping to riding motorcycles, four-wheelers, shooting guns, all kinds of stuff. So it's always a pleasure to see Chavo. And I really like the way he looks at the business and how he's so articulate about it. And I think that comes from just his vast experience and just basically living his whole life in the business. And when you're that much into it and he's lived it and he's been around as long as he has, man, you just see it at a whole nother level. So when he breaks things down and speaks about it, he's very clear in his detail, and I can see why that plays to his strengths as far as people looking for his expertise in the way of Hollywood filming, shooting, and all kinds of stuff like that. But I had a blast talking to Chavo. Great beer, great conversation. I just got finished wrapping up a 2-hour podcast with the one and only immortal Hulk Hogan. Went down to his house over here in Tampa, Florida. And you ain't going to believe this, but I had my settings on my recorder on the wrong settings. But nonetheless, I believe I captured our conversation. My producer, Sean, is working a miracle. And I've already texted Hulk Hogan and said, hey, man, we might have to redo this thing. But I think all is well, and I think everything will be just fine. I'm talking to Booker T, Hall of Famer, tomorrow for a couple of hours, and hopefully I get a chance to maybe talk to Nature Boy Ric Flair and Kurt Angle, and a couple of these other guys are going to be here. But I scheduled conversations with Hulk Hogan and obviously Booker T. We have been trying to hook up for a couple of years in person. We did that MMA type podcast a while back, but I'm looking forward to talking to him in person and talking about the wrestling business and a little bit about his career and what he's got going on now. So I think you're going to enjoy this conversation with Chavo Guerrero. I certainly did enjoy visiting with him and drinking beer with him, and that's the bottom line because I said so. Without any further ado, let's get to Chavo Guerrero Jr. Summer action continues to heat up in Major League Baseball, as well as some big UFC fights right around the corner. And we're only 2 weeks away from the NFL preseason. That's right, folks. It's almost that time again. In the UFC, it's all about UFC 240, as Max Holloway and Frankie Edgar are ready to put it all on the line in a main event for the featherweight championship. This is going to be a hellacious fight. We've also got Chris Cyborg and Felicia Spencer rounding out the card. Cyborg needs a win here. Then, in August, it's Colby Covington, the heat-seeking missile, and Robbie Lawler, the legend, squaring off in a welterweight clash at UFC on ESPN. That's going to be a good fight. There's only one place that has you covered and one place we trust, betonline.ag. Sign up today for a free account at betonline.ag and use the promo code PodcastOne, or text BET now to 238-669 to receive a 50% welcome bonus. That's betonline.ag, your online sportsbook experts and exclusive partners of Podcast One Sportsnet.
This is the Steve Austin Show.
All right, everybody, welcome to Steve Austin Show. I got Chavo Guerrero sitting right here in front of me. I called him Char a while ago. Which one do you want me to call you?
But just call me. I don't care. I don't care what you call me. My wife calls me asshole, so I'm good with that. I answer to that.
I tried to clean up the podcast a little bit. My wife calls me so many names, I'll forget about it. We're gonna talk about many things here today, but among the few things that we're gonna talk to, and I'm looking at this beer right now as we're drinking Diet Red Bull. I'm still trying to wake up.
Yeah.
Did you spend a night last night? I woke up with a hangover. Were you here?
Today I was hungover from 2 days ago. I didn't have one drop of alcohol yesterday, but because I drank on Sunday for about 12 straight hours, I was still feeling it today.
What was the occasion?
Man, it was Sunday. It was Sunday, man. It was Sunday fun day.
My excuse yesterday, it was Monday.
Yeah, it was Sunday fun day, man.
I always, for some reason, I always like to drink on a day that ends with a Y. And that's just me. I don't know why it is.
Well, I always wake up in the morning thinking, you know what? Okay, nothing today. I'm good. Today I'm not going to drink anything. I'm going to get my workout in, a good sweat. I do all that, and about 4 o'clock comes around, and I'm like, oh, man, that beer looks good.
Man, you're like saying the same thing as me, man. All of a sudden it'd be about 5 p.m. I'm like, man, I told myself I wasn't going to drink one today. And I'm like, all of a sudden I'm over cutting up limes on my cutting board. My wife says, you going into margaritas? I said, yeah.
Yeah. Just one, right? Just one. Well, that feels
I'll
good.
end up having two. Yeah. But those are both triples.
Yeah.
So by the time I finish that second one, I can kind of float for a little bit. Then I was laying there in bed last night and I said, man, one more sounds like a good idea. And I said, no, you got Chavo coming on. You can't go there. So when you were hanging around just chilling in the pool, what were y'all drinking? Because I'm looking at one of your brand new beers. So you tell me about the day drinking, and I want to get into this badass beer here.
I started out at brunch at an all-you-can-drink champagne brunch.
I didn't know you did brunch.
Brunch on the golf course. Man, I'm high class now. I'm Orange County, man. Orange County. Man, on the golf course, all-you-can-eat brunch with oysters and crab legs and stuff.
You used to be on the ground on the road all the time, humping it up, healing up rooms, and now you having brunch. Continue.
It was all you can drink brunch, all you can drink champagne. So all you can drink brunch, basically. So after about 15 glasses of champagne, okay, I'm done with the cheap champagne, right? Give me a drink. So I think I switched to like a tequila soda with lime, because I'm watching my girlish figure. And then from there, my sister lives about 8 houses down, and she goes, "Hey, come on over for a barbecue." And my sister is like, we call her Tori Classic. Like my dad was Chavo Classic. She's a female version of my dad. She's insane. Like, when she's just going, and she would, the night before she went to like the MC Hammer concert, MC Hammer Tone Loc, it was like a throwback concert. Yeah. So she's telling us all about that, and we're drinking beers, and then they switched to Trulies, and then we switched to margaritas, Tequila. Tequila's pretty much my thing. Tequila or vodka, depends.
What kind of margarita mix you got? Because I'm always bragging about mine. I'm like the Walter White of margaritas.
I got the best margarita mix out there.
Horse shit.
I'm serious.
I contest that,
it's low carb. It's called Tommy's Margarita Mix. I'm going to bring you some. I'm not kidding you.
You're bringing a margarita mix? How dare you? I'm crafting mine from hand, Chavo. Hand.
Okay, you know what? Okay, so no, from hand. Okay, if you're doing that, it's hard to beat that one ready to go. But this is called Tommy's Margarita Mix. It's a low carb, but doesn't taste low carb, and it's always refrigerated. So it's in the refrigerated section.
No, I dig it. I appreciate you talking about it.
They're friends of mine, so they throw me some stuff, and I'm not just talking about it's great because They're friends of mine. Literally, it's one of the best margarita mix out there. And I just throw, my tequila on it with, I do like a silver tequila, something like a Casamigos or something like that.
Casamigos kind of $1 now.
Yeah, but it's good. It's really
I know
smooth.
it's good.
It's smooth. Or like a Costco. I'll do a Costco.
You got
the
both extremes.
The Kirkland, yeah.
Dude, I got some Casamigos in there, but it's a little too smooth. I use that Patron Silver just for a little kick.
Yeah.
But then I'll settle it down with the rest of my ingredients. Go ahead.
I'll throw that margarita mix, and I'll either do a float of OJ on top, just a little float of OJ, or a little. I
like a float of Grand Marnier.
Grand Marnier too on that top. So that orange flavor and that kicks it. And what's cool about that margarita mix is not too sweet, but it's nice.
Now I'm gonna give you that because on mine they are frogs here on the sweet side, but I dial it back a little bit. But with those ingredients, it's naturally gonna be sweet.
Yeah.
But obviously with that Tommy's, it sounds like it's gonna be not so many grams of sugar, probably as
it's
mine.
a lot less grams of sugar,
and that's a good thing.
Yeah,
because I added mine up the other day, and I had my little calorie calculator out, and I think on a triple, this is a triple now. And the drinks that I make, I added about 450 calories. So you drink 3 of those, that's 9 shots of tequila, and that's about 1,200, 1,300 calories, on top of your food. Yeah. And then your body has to get rid of that alcohol before it gets rid of anything else. So you keep drinking 1,200 calories worth of margaritas every single day, you can end up looking like a tub of shit, which I generally do.
Which we do. We don't take our shirt off every day anymore, right? So it's all right.
But tell me about that. Where can I find that Tommy's? I will check it out.
I would have brought you some. Tommy's is at anywhere. Like, Bevmo's have them, Total Wine. They're kind of everywhere.
And it's the mix. You just put it in tequila.
It's ready. All you have to put tequila in there.
Yep.
It's a mix.
Well, that's good that they don't put the tequila in before. Because when you get that blend, it's in it. Nah, you don't want to do that.
But they always put a little bit of tequila anyways. I always spice it up anyway. So, what's cool about it is it's in the refrigerated section, so it's got to keep it cold. It's awesome, man. I'm Mexican. I'm a margarita connoisseur.
Dude, I'm not Mexican.
But you're Texan. You're close.
Yeah, I'm Texan.
You're Texican.
Yeah, I'm right there by Mexico.
Yeah, that's right.
But I love my margaritas, and I'm a snob. Are you like that? Because we were just talking about this on the podcast that dropped today. Man, I'm a drink snob.
Yeah, sure.
It depends on, if I'm drinking, Jack and Coke or margaritas or Bloody Marys. I mean, it has to be made impeccably. Right, and I like hard ice cubes in my alcohol drinks because, if they use those ones they just scoop out, they're already halfway melted.
Yeah, they melt fast.
So, man, my stuff is always in the freezer. Yeah. So when you go to, here's my question. If you go to a Mexican food restaurant or any place that you go for brunch and you order a margarita and it's one of those pre-made ones that comes out of a machine.
Right.
And those usually taste like dog shit, and they got a little bit of tequila on them, and they got a ton of sugar, and they ain't worth a shit.
Right.
So what are your thoughts on those? Because I am I'll go get the food, and I'll just drink iced tea until I get home, and I want to drink while I'm at the restaurant, but because I'm such a snob, I won't order it.
I won't do it. So the way I judge any Mexican restaurant is by their margarita. If they make a damn good margarita, it's probably got good food there, too. So that's the way I judge it. Yeah. So the same thing if I go like a sushi restaurant, like there's certain sushis that I could like the maguro, the tuna, or the hamachi, the yellowfin. Yeah. If those are good, it's usually pretty good. You know what I mean? That's the way I judge, that kind of stuff. But Mexican restaurant, if they can't make a good margarita, forget it. Or good salsa, then they're out.
There's a sushi place we go to down the road, and yesterday we just come in from Nevada, and we both kind of wiped out. And my wife said, man, why don't we just order takeout? Because you can get one in food delivery places deliver the food.
Yeah.
And, man, the dude came to deliver our food, and he was riding a bicycle. And there's nothing wrong with riding a bicycle, but you got to figure if he's riding a bicycle, it took him a lot longer, than if he was driving a car to get here.
And it's sushi, right?
It's sushi.
It's supposed to be cold.
Yeah. So the sushi wasn't worth the shit.
Yeah.
And man, my wife, because we love the sushi place, and it wasn't about the quality of the sushi. It took so long to get there, and I was like, man, we might as well order this shit yesterday.
Yeah.
Anyway, man, we talk about disappointing. I was sitting there, I had a couple of margaritas, had a little buzz, going to get my sushi on, and then kind of kick it and get ready to talk to you.
Right.
And I'm thinking, what in the F did we do this time? So we ain't going to do that no more. Yeah. I can't believe you like sushi. Now, if you go eat sushi, what kind of beer are you going to throw down while you're eating it?
Asahi.
I'm an Asahi guy too. Asahi dry.
Yeah, Asahi, the big one, right? The big one. Yeah, that one. I know. I don't know, for some reason I always like that one more than the Kirin, the Sapporos.
Yep.
And I always remember my dad drinking it in Japan, and I have a picture that it's like it's somebody's birthday. And I think it's Andres and I think Dos Caras or somebody else's birthday, and they're blowing out a cake, and they all got those big 22-ounce, I could find it on the internet and show you, but I have one of the original ones, but they all have those big 22-ounce Asahis in their hand, and to Andre, it looks like it's a normal sized beer. Like it looked like it was like a 12-ounce Coors Light. So for some reason, man, Asahi's that just tastes the best, man, for me.
When's the last time you went to Japan to wrestle?
To wrestle, God, it's been a bit, man, with WWE. So that was maybe 2011.
Did you enjoy going over?
I love Japan. Japan's my favorite place. I love the people. I love the culture, but I love the wrestling. I love wrestling their guys because, you never know when it's going to, it's going to turn into a shoot out there, But also, I like the way you get the fans. You got to work for them to get them hot, to get them loud. They're super educated, as you know. So anybody's listening, the wrestling in Japan, you could wrestle in front of 10,000 people and you can hear a pin drop. It's quiet, but not because they're not excited. They're such fans that they're sitting down. They're so respectful that they're watching. They're not getting beer. They're not ordering chips. They're not telling you to F off. They're sitting there watching you, and they're so into what you're doing. So they're watching every single thing you're doing, but it's just a different style. I know how to get them. I know how to build it, and then you really can get them going, and you get them going. Oh, that's awesome.
It's funny. I never heard it explained like that, but you're right. They are watching intently.
Absolutely.
And like they'll come for like a guy, like all of a sudden there's, maybe a sequence and a guy get a submission and get to the ropes and they'll grab that rope and then they'll come a little bit for that,
Right.
Or, like if a guy's kind of getting the trash beat out of him and then finally it's time to kind of just do that. It's like a Hulk up.
Absolutely.
Or just a fire. They show the extreme fire and behold.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And they come for that and then they'll build. But I never really diagnosed it like you just did. And you're a little bit more on the technical side than I was, because I remember when I first started going to Japan, I had only been in the business 3 years, and I'm working with Arn Anderson, and those people are quiet. And so you're thinking,
did that match come out somewhere recently? Did somebody post that?
Yeah, no, someone did. I didn't.
I just saw that, or a match like that where you had your long blonde hair and it was you and you were moving. I think you were working Arn, and you guys were. But
here's the backstory. It was me, Arn, Ron Simmons, Eddie was there, Benoit was there, Malenko, the whole bunch of guys, Scott Norton. Anyway, a lot of Japanese guys, of course, working Japan. But we flew over. We're stateside guys,
right?
And we get over, and me and Arn drank the whole way from the United States of America to Japan.
Of course,
we checked into the Kyo Plaza. You know the deal.
The Kyo Plaza.
They get us up early in the morning. We get on the bus. We go. All of a sudden, they come, and the language, difference. I'm working with Arn. Arn's working with me, and this is the start of the tournament. And it's a television match.
You good? How long? Maybe 10 minutes to a minute.
Yeah, and that's just how it is over there. We're not making fun of any language.
No, it's awesome.
That's just how it is.
Absolutely,
and that's with respect. So anyway, we go out there, and hell, we'd been drinking, like I said, all night long, and we drank when we got there, and all of a sudden, we were both horrified because we didn't want to work against each other. We both knew we were going to blow it up, and it's hotter than hell in that first building. And I thought the match, for the year that it was probably 91, 92, whatever it was, it would hold some merit, but does it hold up by today's standards, or would you even look at it and say it was a great match? Hell no, you wouldn't. But man, I was just horrified. And you go out there, and Arn had already had at least 10 years in the business, and Arn knew a little bit more about getting over than I did at the time. Now, I'm this rookie. I'm mechanically okay. I can hit the ropes okay, but I don't know what he knows. And so I thought he got over a little bit more in that match. Of course, I loved Arn Anderson, but dude, it's a different ball game over there.
Absolutely.
What do you think is going on in the wrestling scene right now, with AEW coming out, with Paul Heyman going to take over Raw, with Eric Bischoff going to take over SmackDown, just in the landscape in general? And I'm not forgetting about the other companies, but these are the ones that I'm more familiar with. And I know you're really in tune with it. And we're going to get to Glow in a little bit.
Right.
Like, where are you? Because I was just watching a match between you and Juventud from 2018.
18. Wow.
Well, maybe it was posted in 2018.
Maybe. Yeah, I don't know.
He was wearing a green mask and he took it off.
Oh, I think we wrestled for Booker T. I think we just wrestled.
The reality of wrestling.
Yeah, we wrestled for Booker. Booker called me in, and that was right after my torn bicep. Like I
Okay,
had
was
just
that
come
18
back.
or was that a while back?
Yeah, it was like last year. Yeah.
So that's my deal.
Yeah.
Where are you at right now with the wrestling? Tell me about the scene as you see it today.
So wrestling's getting a big resurgence again. It's getting bigger again. Now, will there ever be a Monday Night Wars? Probably not. WWE is so big. They're like such a Coca-Cola of wrestling. They're like the Disneyland of wrestling. So, because they're so big is what I mean. Nobody can really, I believe, challenge them on a ratings basis. They're just too big. But people want an alternative, which was great for AEW. AEW is coming in, and I see, are they going to be able to compete with WWE? I don't think anybody can, but they're gonna come in and do their product, and it's running once a month or once every couple of weeks is one thing. Running 8 shows a week like WWE does that's a completely different animal, as you know. So to get to that point, that's tough. That's really tough. But I just think that with New Japan coming out, with Ring of Honor doing well, with like a AAA doing well, it's like people run the garden. You know what I mean? That's crazy.
Right.
I mean, AEW ran the garden, Ring of Honor ran the garden, and nobody ran the garden back in the day except for WWF and WWE, right? So it's changing.
How's the business in Mexico? You mentioned AAA.
So AAA is good. So funny you say that. The 2 big companies in Mexico are like AAA and CMLL. Me and Alberto del Rio started our own little company called Nacion Lucha Libre. We just started. We had our first show last week, and we got a TV deal. We got the 3rd biggest network in Mexico, which is called Imagine TV, Imagen TV, or Imagine Television. But they're the first. They're the number 3rd biggest network, but the first in our demographic, the wrestling demographic. AAA's been trying to get on there. CMLL has been trying to get on there, and they went with us. So we got a TV deal and everything. So we had our first. We filmed 2 episodes last Thursday, in Mexico City. It went well. Some hiccups for sure, but I'm super OCD when it comes to wrestling. I like things. This is the way you're supposed to do it. This is the way we're doing it. Like with backstage, with everything, the way we set up matches, the way we agent, with all that stuff. I'm so used to having such a structure, and it's a little Mexican style, which is kind of outlaw-y. They kind of fly by the seat of their pants. When they say they start at 8, I start at 8. They start at 8:45, 9:15. Right. People still coming in. You know what I mean? We kind of did that, and I just think that we can compete real fast with those guys.
That is news to me.
Yeah. It's kind of just, yeah.
How did you? Whose vision was it to put that together?
Not mine. I wouldn't have started. Man.
Yeah, but you always seem to be the go-to guy for someone when they really need to organize something,
right.
to manage something, just because of your vision, your perspective on the business. So, how did you get approached?
You know what? Alberto came up to me and goes, "Hey, man, we got this company that we're doing." He started with a couple other guys. Couple big wigs, and he's like, "I want you to be a part of it." So I'm like, technically, I guess I'm 3rd in charge, whatever. But I don't know. It's one of those that we'll see what happens, man. I think.
So what is the style? Is it Lucha Libre?
It's Lucha, but it's not Lucha. So Lucha Libre, kind of all over the place, if you see it sometimes. I like more of a structure, more than what we did like on Lucha Underground, to where I love the high flying and kind of the freestyle Lucha Libre, but I like the ref meaning something. The ref has got to mean something. You can't job the ref out. I don't really like the 3 falls.
Can't job the ref out. I dig it.
I hate that. I hate that because there's no heat. The heat goes on the ref sometimes. And sometimes when I watch Mexican style wrestling, you got these refs that are trying to get over, and they're like the heels. They're more heels than some of the wrestlers.
Agreed.
And I can't stand that. To me, your referee, if this is supposed to be a legit sport in a sense, what other like sports, you see the referee, can you push a referee in the NBA and all? You can't. So I'm very much, I love the style of the WWE where they make that ref means absolutely something. If you don't break on 5, you're disqualified. If they don't kick out, they're counted out. That's the way it should be. I remember as a kid, the way my grandfather had it, the way my father had it. We've kind of got away from that in wrestling. It's kind of like a gray area to where, I get it, it's pro wrestling, but at the same time, there's got to be some structure to it. So that's what we're still doing over there. That what we're doing is in the sense where, a lot of 6-mans, a lot of tags, but we got to, we make the ref mean something, and there's a structure of the match. One fall, so everything was one fall.
What kind of crew you guys putting together over there?
We had a pretty good crew, man. We had a lot of big stars, a lot of big independent stars for sure there. We had Phoenix and Pentagon for a minute, and then AAA kind of pulled them away and said they couldn't do it. But I think we're going to get those guys back. But we got guys like Alberto del Rio, MVP, Carlito, Mecha Wolf. Those are the foreigners. Apollo, Macias, who was Ricky Banderas, who was Mil Muertes. Then we got a lot of their stars over there. All La Parca. La Parca's kids are great. They're like one's 17, one's 22, and they look like seasoned vets out there. We got some new guys coming up, are Dr. Wagner's kids, and they're incredible. All these second, third generation wrestlers were, I watched them. They had the crowd going. It was crazy. I was like, wow, how long have these guys been working? It took me years to be able to get the crowd like that,
You're talking about the La Parca, though, right?
La Parca, yeah. The original La Parca, the original.
I would naturally figure that if he had kids, and he does, that they would be a natural in the business. Yeah,
all really good. And gosh, God, we had really a lot of the new guys. We have Bandito. Bandito's a new guy coming out that's been doing stuff with Ring of Honor and is excellent. He's like a 21-year-old kid and is excellent. Now, he needs to learn selling. He needs to learn, slow and pace. But as far as like move sets, it's crazy. The things that he did something with Ray Horace, who was, we had him in Lucha Underground. That was, what was his name? Lucha Underground. He was like the apprentice guy. I forget, but he's excellent wrestler. But they're still young. They were me. I was them when I was 25 years old, where we're just doing all these spots and stuff, and this guys, let things settle. So there's another wrestler over there named Ricky Marvin. If you remember Ricky Marvin. Ricky Marvin just came to the show to watch. After we got done with our match, he came up and goes, man, that was the best match of the night. And I said, man, I didn't do all the things that those guys did. And he says, I know, but you sold. You made things mean something. I said, you try. Hey, we're old. We can't do that stuff anymore.
Right.
But, it's like I always use the example of Rey Mysterio. Rey Mysterio could do so much more stuff when he was younger, but he's such a better wrestler now because instead of doing 10 head scissors, he does 1 head scissors at the right time. He can sell when he sells his ass off. It's not just moveset. Now it's like he knows when to do it. He knows when to do a move. It's less is more.
Man, I'm glad you said that because I was going to ask you exactly that because I was talking about on the podcast that just dropped last week. I did a Q&A and I was like, man, I think emotions sell tickets, and it's great when guys have move sets and a great work rate, if you will. But how much faster can you make the business go? It's at a speed right now where it can't. I mean, I guess it could get faster, but it doesn't need to get faster. The guys and gals are such better athletes than I was back in my day. But you still, it has to be. You need to have character development. You have to have a character based thing so people care, and all these moves mean something. So I was watching you and Hoovy work. I was like, the pacing, obviously you guys have been working forever.
Sure.
And so the pacing was there. You still had all the moves, but you were selling. And so when I see these guys do all these athletic things, like that guy was watching, he said, hey, man, this was the best match. Why? Because you sold stuff. And I think the business is getting to a point where it just moves so fast and everybody's just jerking people up and you can see what's coming next.
Agreed.
And you can't see that grit in there anymore. And they're working their ass off, but you got to work smarter in today's system.
I say that all the time. You guys are working great, but you're working too hard. You're not work smarter, not harder. And I think we talked about this possibly on the last podcast. I don't know. I say this a lot, but the moves, we're storytellers in the ring. We're telling a story. The moves help tell the story, but they are not the story. Just when you're watching movies, and I know we talk about that, but when you're watching a movie and you see explosions are great. They help tell a story, but they're not the story. After watching, some of these movies and I see, 30 minutes of explosions. Okay, great. Tell me a story. Put me on that roller coaster with not just boo, pow, bang, bang. Tell me a story. Let me get invested in this character. I want to see, you got guys like, Ricky Steamboat. Could he do a lot of those moves? Absolutely. But man, when he sold, you felt it. Shawn Michaels the same way. They'd like reach out to somebody in the crowd and connect with that person. You felt his pain. Like you're like, oh, and he didn't have to do a triple Lindy off the top turnbuckle to the ground and, crash through tables. All he said was like he took a punch and it looked like you shot his head off. It meant something. You don't see that too much anymore. What you should see is moves. People think it's all these moves, and anybody can do those moves. Anybody can do that now, but they can't do it at the right time, and they can't sell and connect with the people now. It's different. Like when I watch, and I won't signal any federation out, but when I watch certain TV shows, it's like, oh man, yeah, okay, I get it. You got 8 minutes or 5 minutes, but they're trying to, like you said, cram 12 pounds of crap into a 6-pound bag, right?
Right.
And it's like, less is more. Less is more.
Alexa isn't the only one with breaking news. Make sure to hang around at the end of this podcast for the latest breaking headlines on the AP News Minute.
Hey everybody, Dan Patrick here, host of the Dan Patrick Podcast on PodcastOne. Join me this week for the hottest sports topics and great interviews.
As it stands right now, Tom Brady's still awesome. He's certainly, the most decorated of all time, not even close. I get that. But yes, going into the 2019 season, Dan, I look at him as the 9th best quarterback.
Download new episodes of the Dan Patrick Show podcast Monday through Friday, only on Apple Podcasts, PodcastOne.
This is the Steve Austin Show.
Here's a question for you. When was it? Because you wrestled as recently as 2018 or even later, but that's when I saw on YouTube.
Yeah, last week.
And you broke in. You broke in 94?
93 was my first match, but really 95 was when I was
Okay, give or take.
Yeah.
But back then, I was in WCW. I just came out of USWA. Okay, I broke into the Chris Adams School of Wrestling.
Yep.
So back then, and he didn't smarten us up.
Right.
I didn't get smartened up until my first match in the Sportatorium against Frogman LeBlanc. So anyway, everybody's home heard me tell stories, and they get mad at me for retelling stories. I ain't retelling a story. Here's what the deal is. Back in the day, and I asked Jared, I said, hey, man, when can I start working full time? And I was still working on the freight dock. He says, hell, Steve, I think you're ready now. Hell, I wasn't. I'd only been working for 2 months getting the shit kicked out of me by Top Heels coming through the territory, in Dallas.
That's right.
So he sends me over. I drive down to my Hyundai Excel, 1988 model, almost got repossessed, $154 a month.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, man, I start working these matches. And you go to Nashville to the fairgrounds, and there's a heel dressing room on this side of the building, and there's a babyface dressing room on the other side of the building. Right. You don't see each other. Referee comes over to each room and gives you the finish. Then you go out there, and I'm working with veterans, guys. Been in business 10, 15 years.
That's a lost art, by the way.
Oh, yeah. So I go out there, and all I know is the finish. So I'm listening to a guy. And so you can, first of all, I'm green as grass, so the match sucked. Sure. But I don't have anything to remember, and I'm listening to a guy.
That's awesome.
And so there's this, even though you're green, there's a freedom. And, hey, man, it's not like I got to remember, my alphabet, if that's the map.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, as the years go by, you kind of, as you work more and more with people, you kind of say, okay, remember this, and you'll string a few things together so you can hit that little spurt there of some sequences that you couldn't have otherwise pulled off. Right. But then when it got to where you have all day to put together this match, and really, I think the first one that was kind of done, and people, it wasn't really the first one ever done, but pulled off to such a high level was WrestleMania 3. Savage versus Steamboat. You knew exactly what I was going to say.
Exactly what you were going to say.
Those guys had been working on that match. But here's the thing. When they executed it, you could not see the tells. They weren't telegraphing where you knew guys just feeding into something. It still looked damn near like it was a contest. Yeah. So when I see seamless presentation today, if you don't have that grit, if you don't have, I'm not saying put slop in there, but you've got to. Everything can't look like it's on cruise control.
And it does.
And that's my biggest pet peeve of the business right now. And you got high-level people out there, but it's just...
It's so looks choreographed. They got... And they're not selling things. Everything's rushed through. Like, they're putting these spots together, and then all of a sudden... They're putting it's like an 8-9 minute match, but really, if you're doing it correct, that's a 45-minute match with the right selling. You sell right, and just because people think, oh, I talked about this, and maybe I'm going to do this flip from the the top. Just because you talk about it doesn't mean you have to do it. And that's what people forget. Like it's always subject to change. Everything's subject to change out there. You know, the finish is subject to change. Everything. And to me, it's just, you know, you may have I like getting an outline, but then I like you got that feeling, that sixth sense that you only learn from time in that ring, right?
And I guess what I'm harping on here is when I can see a couple of people in the ring, no matter what federation it is. Yeah. But I know, okay, because I've followed their timeline. They've been in the business, let's say, 3 years. Right. And they're doing this extensive move set and in this 15-minute match. And they've done the moves. The people saw the match. Yeah. What was the story told? But my point is, do they truly know how to work? Right. Do you truly know how to work the crowd just by being able to memorize sequences? Because when you're out there in USWA and it's a weekly territory and you're depending on that house, you know, to put money in your back pocket to get your meal and get down the road the next day. I was there and we were starving. That's right. And so you had to work those people. You know, come out of the carnival, brother. It's like, you know, the dude with the lead, you know, milk cartons that you got to throw the softball and knock down. He's trying to hustle you over, get you $5 for 3 throws, right? Yeah. And if you don't get him over there, you don't get his money. Yeah. So you got to be out there, go out there and tell a story and work those people. And you talk about like a babyface reaching to the crowd is classic Ricky Morton, blood running down his face, and people they used to talk about all the time. Girls in the front row crying because Ricky getting the shit kicked out of him. Pulling on those emotions, it's working the crowd. I believe the ability to truly work the crowd, to feel those moments, and then it's timing. Ain't timing as far as being somewhere on a sequence. I mean timing as far as how to pull those damn heartstrings to get the emotion. You got all the great athleticism, but you got to put the emotion back in.
You know who's guilty of the way the business is now too, is got a big hand in it, is TV. And the TV, because the producers and the truck, they want to know exactly what you're doing. They want to know, okay, so I'm diving out here so that they can tell the cameras to shoot it and not miss it, especially on a live like Raw or a pay-per-view. And I get it. I understand. But like, I can't work like that. I don't say this, we're not Nostradamus. I don't have ESP to know exactly what's going to make these people tick. Something's going to make them tick, right? And we said that before. It's, they either want brawling, or they want wrestling, or they want a combination, or they want entertaining. Something's good. They want heat. Something's going to make them tick, but you don't know what's going to make them tick until you get out there, until you feel it. They don't know. And you got to be able to feel that when you go in the back and you're calling an 8-minute match in the back, A to Z, and then you get out there, you got to tell the producer, this is what we're going to do, and we're going to do this, so that he can tell the camera guys. Well, now the feeling's gone. There's no more feeling anymore. There's no heart in wrestling anymore. It's just you're memorizing what you talked about in the back, and I don't agree with that.
And you're forming that decision. You're basically, as you're setting up that match, it's a hypothesis based on your past experiences. This ought to work here.
This will work, yeah.
Bang, bang, bang. And you're feeling it when you're just talking to you and me. Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah, well, you and me are feeling it. We're guessing that they're going to be on the same page with us. Yeah. Now, and if we're both over, if we've had great television time, if our story's built, it's a built match, yeah, it could go just like we want it to go, and they're going to be exactly where we're planning based on this hypothesis.
Yeah. Or it can't. Yeah.
But that doesn't happen all the time. And then what ends up happening is people are going through these sequences that ain't really a story, and nothing really makes sense. And then you have this white noise in the background talking about it, and nothing really jibes. Yeah. And you lose the emotion. And that's the biggest thing.
There's nothing like being in the ring and feeling and calling that match out there and having everything work and having the people frothing at the mouth and it goes crazy. There's no drug in the world like it. There's nothing like it. Now, on the other side, I've been on the other side to where you're remembering all of your spots and we get through the match. Man, we remembered everything perfectly. It's not the same. It's not the same at all.
Remembering everything perfectly.
I'm like, whoa, whew, I remembered everything. That don't mean shit. It doesn't mean shit.
I watch people all the time remember things perfectly, but they didn't move my needle right here as far as, where my emotions are at.
That's right.
And I see someone, not cheating enough, or I still believe in cheating. Some people don't believe in cheating.
So anything you can do behind the ref's back and get the fans, and like, if you look at, So look at the heat. Like, let's say you and your brother, you and your sister when you were kids, and all of a sudden your brother was, your mom said, "Don't grab that cookie out of that cookie jar," and as soon as she turned around, he grabbed it and ate it, and you were like, "Hey, he just ate it. He just ate the cookie. He just ate the cookie." There's heat, but as soon as your mom caught him, and then, oh, that's okay. But mom, now the heat's on your mom, who is the ref.
Yeah.
Now the heat's on her, going, "Well, how come you just told us we couldn't, and you didn't do anything about it?" Right?
Yeah.
So that was huge heat. You got away with it. Yeah. So if you do that in the ring, get away. People, God, I'm telling you that's it's there. Heat is without Darth Vader, there is no Luke Skywalker.
Right. Hey, how you're 48 years old, right?
49.
49.
49 almost. 49 in
almost.
October.
Okay.
October, yeah. I forget. I'm at the age now that I forget how old I am.
But are you old enough to remember any of Bruiser Brody's stuff?
Absolutely. My dad, I think we talked about it. My dad, when he became the rebel he was, that he was going over Old Japan all the time, and the three Gaijins, the three foreigners on the tour with him, Handsome, and Brody. Yep. And at first, he Handsome and Brody had already been there, two big old strapping bucks, right? And my dad was the outsider. And then when they accepted him, it was just all three of them all the time. And Brody, there was nothing like it. Just the stuff that he moved in the ring, right?
And that's the reason I bring this up, because I'm right in the middle of highspots.com. You can order these pay-per-view, not pay-per-views, they're like these documentaries that they do. Right. So I'm right in the middle of the Bruiser Brody documentary. Of course, they've covered a little bit of his death in Puerto Rico.
Hold on. You mean the one, the dark side of the ring?
No, it's Wrestling's Last Outlaw or Rebel, whatever.
Have you seen that Dark Side of the Ring yet?
No.
Okay.
I'll check it out. But here's my point.
So good.
Here's my point. Raising hell over in Japan, man, when him and Hanson were walking to the ring, swinging was always, I got a picture here.
That's my dad. My dad and Brody are right there.
Oh, man,
walking,
is that Japan?
That's Japan, just walking down the street, hanging out, and they're just like, whatever they're doing, cold as heck as Sapporo or something like that, yeah.
And Brody was a big-ass dude.
Oh, big dude and tough.
Oh, yeah. And he always had that big frame. But here's my thing. Man, him and Hanson walking to the ring, swinging those bull ropes with those cowbells on the end of it. And this is back in a long time ago when the Japanese were sitting on cushions on the floor.
Oh, yeah.
It was before the chairs came in.
Yeah, right.
And it was almost like, man, they were just run and terrified of them. And it was also kind of considered an honor to get hit with that cowbell, even though he's going to sell the hell out of it. Right. But my point was, there was a danger factor there. Man, those guys went over there and they took control of that place, and they were feared and they were revered and they were godlike. And of course, they were booked accordingly. And if you're going to go out there, and if you watch them work, and I've talked about this in the past, if you watch them work with Terry and Dory, you can see that they're taking care of each other. Yeah. But when it's anybody else, you're damn near in a fight. Some of that stuff between Hanson and Vader. That's the thing. Those guys weren't relying on a scientific formula of movesets. I mean, it was tit for tat or back and forth, but it was a frickin' brawl that looked like a fight. And I think things have kind of lost. I like for that Will Ospreay Ricochet match from a couple of years ago. Sure. That was a technical marvel.
Amazing.
I loved it. And I can't see a whole lot of them all the time, but I appreciate it for what it was. It was purely art and talent and timing. And if there was a movie, it would take them 12 hours to film that sequence.
Right.
You know the movie business.
For sure, yeah.
But going back to Hanson and Brody, that danger factor and anything could happen, I recommend everybody watch that Bruiser Brody documentary. If you have any thoughts of being in the business, or you are in the business, if you've even been in the business for 10 years, you sit, watch that guy's posture, watch his mannerisms, watch his demeanor. He didn't think he was a pro wrestler, brother. He knew he was, and he knew he was a badass. And to me, I think more people need the mindset. Not everybody's going to be a Bruiser Brody. Hardly few, if any, will be. But you can take what that guy personifies and put it into whoever you are, just in the way the guy carries himself.
I got a theory in all that, too. So the wrestlers of that time, Brody, Hanson, all those guys, it was a different era. They believed exactly who they were. They believed that they were the toughest SOBs in that place. And they were. But they believed it.
Yeah.
Right? And if a promoter wanted to do something, they'd tell the promoter, hey, screw you. I'm out of here. I'm doing whatever I want. What happens now, I think, is that the promoters have the wrestlers so scared of their jobs, and you better do what we say or you're out of here, that nobody can believe it anymore. Everybody's not saying that they're not tough guys, because there's a lot of good tough guys anymore, but they got them all walking on eggshells so much. And now it's like, so, and not naming any names, of course not, but somebody comes out and does, get over there, and, I want you doing this, and if you don't like it, there's a door. Well, back in the day, Brody Hanson would say, there's a door? Well, before I throw you through it, I'm going to, whatever. But now it's these guys, these grown ass men that are tough as nails, running out the door and scared to death. And it's a different era. And where I like being where I am now, to where I can do what I want. I don't work for anybody. I can't work for anybody anymore. Now that I work what I'm doing, it's like somebody tells me to do something, I don't like it. I'm like, I don't need it. I'll see you later. If you want to go fight about it, let's go fight about it, but I ain't going to do it. See ya. So it's a good place to be. You're at that spot.
Did you get a chance to see the Double or Nothing, whatever pay-per-view it was in Las Vegas?
I did not see it. Did
you hear about that match between Dustin and Cody?
I did. I heard it was great.
Did you see the color job?
I saw it. Was crazy. It was a flared color job, right? With the blonde hair, nothing like it.
But my point is, going back to what we were talking about a while ago, and again, for everybody listening to my podcast, I just started this thing back up. I hate to keep telling all these stories I've been telling, but
yeah,
emotion. I haven't felt that much emotion at the end of a match that I felt in that one in years.
If they can get you, they're getting all the people out there. That's when Shawn Michaels and Undertaker at WrestleManias, those 2 in a row, when they got me, they're getting everybody. I was just like, wow, I was just 2 masters at work. It was amazing. Did they do, let's say, the stuff like Ricochet and Ospreay can do? Heck no. Did they have to? Nope. One punch did it. And it was a work of art. You've seen it. And it's something that, like I said, it's a lost art form, but these guys they go out there and they tell a story. They tell a story. And a slam with a sell job meant more than getting run over by a car or doing a triple flip. It meant way more.
Man, if you watch that documentary, and I want to get into some glow stuff here, because I don't want to sound like a grizzled ass veteran talking about the business or the days or years that were, and it was the greatest of all time.
You turned into the veterans before us, right?
Man, we're just sitting there talking about a business that we knew and we loved, and we know and we love now. So it is what it is. But man, going back to one thing about Bruiser Brody, man, he used to do this big slam where he'd just pick a dude up and he'd put him up over his shoulder with one arm. And the guy, I mean, he was like kind of posted up, and it was that big ass slam.
Yeah.
And I ain't seen nobody do that since Brody did it. Just the way, and he wasn't the biggest man in the world. There's guys bigger than him,
sure.
But I mean, he was a big dude.
Huge, yeah.
He was a big dude, but just watch some of the way Brody goes through the Bruiser Brody. For every big guy that's in the WWF right now, or any territory that there is must-watch stuff.
For sure.
Because if you don't emulate his style, I'm not telling you to copy him, but you watch the way that guy walks around the ring like a crazed animal, and watch the way he delivers some of his stuff. And he wasn't a high-risk guy. He wasn't jumping off top turnbuckles doing stupid shit because he didn't need to.
Didn't have to.
On occasion, might he have done a clothesline or something off top? Yeah, but that wasn't his bread and butter. His bread and butter was beating the shit out of you. Here's one of the things I loved about his that big boot he used to give up.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of people give that big boot, and they're just sticking up a big boot that you run into or stop 6 inches short of.
Yeah.
Bruiser had that extension on that big boot where he would bring it forward about a foot.
Yeah.
And
if he liked you, he'd just make contact enough. If he didn't like you, he would kick your face off.
You damn right, mister, but it was a hell of a damn impact. But watch some of that stuff. Here's a quote from Mark Maron. I watched a bunch of interviews from some of the Glowcast.
Yeah.
Here's what Mark Maron said about Glow when he was asked if it was real or fake. He said, "Wrestling is wrestling. It's not fake or real. It's a thing unto itself that provides a stage to move through these amazing stories and these amazing characters that are almost like superhuman. It's its own form. I don't think fake or real plays into it." That's a damn respectful answer.
I've taught them well.
It sounds like, and I watched Brie Allison.
Alice Brie, yeah.
Allison Brie. I get her name backwards because it seems the other way. And then what's the other day? The girl's lead?
Betty Gilpin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it just seems like they fell in love with the damn business.
They all did. All the girls did. They didn't know anything about now. Today, the cover of the ESPN magazine this week is Becky Lynch, who's the man in WWE,
Congrats.
and Allison Brie. So you got a wrestler, pro wrestler, and you got a actress playing a pro wrestler on the cover of ESPN. So I talked to Allison and said, did you ever think when you signed on for this and you got this role that you were going to be a face of pro wrestling? And she said, I didn't. I was so in shock doing this photo shoot. So I told her, I go, look, you have a responsibility now. I'm here to guide you any way I can. I go, but you have a responsibility that, wrestling fans, they look at you now like you're almost, in a sense, they know you're not a wrestler, but you carry yourself now as a wrestler. And she loves that business. She's, I think she did an interview where people asked her, so wrestling's fake, right? And she's like, oh no, She said, it's entertainment, but we're getting hurt in there in practices. You come out and practice and take a snap mirror, take a slam, or pick somebody up over your head. Fake's the wrong word. I hate that word because it's the wrong word. It means something not real. Somebody doesn't watch the movies and say, well, that car crash, they rehearsed it 20 times. They knew what was going to happen. That's fake. It's not fake. It's entertainment 100%. But it's pretty real. It's real.
It sounded to me like they all had a genuine appreciation for the job, for the business, and the dues that those women paid back in the day. And of course, man, I've told some of the guests I've had on the show, man, I was the biggest Glow fan in the world, man. I loved it. Yeah. The campy storylines, but I just loved the women. They were all cool. Loved all the gimmicks.
Yeah.
And man, I was a teenage kid, man. I was just love.
Yeah, everybody was like. A lot of people didn't know. When I talk to people now, they're like, I don't know why I liked it, but I really liked it. And we just watched. You couldn't stop watching these. No one ever really seen all these hot girls rolling around and wrestling and these. It was, you look at back now, it's cheesy, all these gimmicks.
Yeah, but it was great.
Awesome. It was wrestling. It was great. It was so good. And I'm so happy for those original Glow girls to now get their just due, because when that show first came out, they were shunned and then looked down upon in the wrestling world. They're like, you're not wrestlers. That's not what we do. And now to see them, honored at the Cauliflower Alley Club and be these pioneers of wrestling, it's great for them, because every one of them, you talk to every one of them, they all got bad backs and bad necks from that. They can't walk. They can't do any of that stuff. And
I wonder what the state of that ring they used to work in was.
It was shit.
I guarantee it was. It had been hard as hell. The ropes were drizzling shits.
My Uncle Mondo was the original trainer of them, but he only had him for the first season. After that, somebody else trained him. And when I go back and look at them, man, these girls, they didn't know what they were doing. They were beating the crap out of each other. They're taking these wrong bumps. They didn't know how to throw clotheslines. It was like, oh, God, these girls were really beat up. I mean, it was horrible.
You got a chance to work with these ladies for only about a month.
I get them a month before we start filming. So it's been now, we filmed 3 seasons, so I get them for a whole month. And then I get them throughout the season, depending on how we're shooting, what storylines and that kind of stuff.
Okay, if you're going through basic training.
Yeah, 1 month.
Okay,
before. So
what are you doing? Bringing them up to speed? Or bringing in some new girls? I mean, is everybody? Tell me what you're doing with these dudes, because it's almost like it's a retraining, or you're like you forgot everything. Here it is again.
So the first season was getting newbies that knew nothing about wrestling, What they didn't even know how to enter the ring. They weren't athletes. They're like, hey, who here did, I was trying to get a feel for everybody. Who's played sports as a kid? Well, I played Little League when I was 7. I did Shakespeare, No, they weren't even athletes. Well, I can't say that. They didn't think they were athletes. And then I trained them, me and the 2 other stunt girls that had helped me, thank God. But I trained them in wrestling. They trained the girls in the feminine version. I remember I'm not training wrestlers as you were trained. We're just beating the crap out of them. I'm training actresses to do wrestling in scenes. So at the same time, I need to train them to protect each other and to learn how to fall and protect themselves, because it's not just doing a 5-minute match. You're doing that 5-minute match for 8 hours. That's what they're doing. It's almost harder at times. So The first season, man, it was the basics. I mean, roles and protection. So how to bump, not be scared of that mat, how to take care of each other. And then the next season we'd start with a review of that, and then I'd build on that, like now doing, hammer locks and chain wrestling and all that kind of stuff. And so now we're at the point to where I get them for the first month. The first season I needed 1 month, if not longer, for sure. Now we get to the point where we're caught back up within 10 days. If I get them for like 10 days like that, like 2 weeks, so it was 5 days of work, 5 working days, I get them caught up pretty fast. And then start building on remember, I'm not having them do, top rope, hurricanranas and that kind of stuff. But we are doing chain wrestling. That's them doing all the moves. They're doing, whatever the moves were in the 80s. So I can't have them do shooting star presses because
that was one of the points I was going to bring up, because one of the gals in the interview, it was Allison or Betty, and talking about it's period correct. Yeah. And they would come to you and say, Chavo, well, I saw this because they were watching Monday Night Raw, and they said, well, I wanted to put this in the scene. And you're like, no, you can't do that. It wasn't invented then.
It wasn't invented.
It's got to be period correct.
Period correct. I mean, and then I get scripts way before anybody else, before the actors, because the network draft, which is like the first draft out there, and I have to go over it and say, okay, look. So look at the verbiage. Okay, so they say something like Undertaker. I go, Undertaker didn't debut. The Undertaker, and he was Mean Mark Callis before. He didn't debut till, like 19, I'd have to look it up, like 1996 or 94 maybe it was, whatever like that.
You're right, yeah.
Something like that, 94, something like that. So this is the show set in like 1986, right? So if you want somebody of that crazy caliber like that, okay, how about Abdullah the Butcher? He was around. I give them like alternatives. How about so-and-so person? How about this person? Whether they use it or not, it's up to them, but, or the Sheik, what context was the Undertaker in that script for? Why are they referencing him? So everything has got to be that's all my job. So not only am I the wrestling coordinator, I'm the wrestling consultant on the show. So verbiage, costumes, ring, set design, all that stuff is anything to do with wrestling.
But dude, are you there if you're working with the girls for about a month before you start shooting? Yeah. Are you there during the entire shooting process?
Entire shooting process.
Oh, okay.
Because,
so I thought that you're kind of saying, hey man, I got these people for 30 days and I'm gone. You're there the entire time.
So this is what I do on Glow, and I work in conjunction with the stunt coordinator Shauna Duggins and our stunt utility, who's Helena Barrett, who are awesome. I love them. We train them first. After I train them, then the first script will come out, right? And I'll read, and I have to go through everything wrestling in the script. Okay, so if there's a wrestling scene in the script, then I got to think, because the writers, they're just writing, okay, we want them to do a match. Okay, how long of a match? Who's going to, okay. So then I got to kind of put together the match in my head. Then I'll run it by the producers. Then the producers will say, okay, yeah, that sounds good. So then I'll teach it to the girls. And then we teach it to the girls. And then I'll get the director in here. And the director, I'll have him look, which way I'll give him 3 or 4 different options. How does he want to shoot it? What's his vision? I'll switch things around. We'll have that done. And then when we film, I'm on set right behind the camera with the director. So as he's directing the scene, I am directing the wrestling. Me and the stunt coordinator. Stunt coordinator is directing the stunts and the safety and all that stuff. So as soon as the scene's like in the ring done, the director will look at me like kind of like, how was that? And I'll say, okay, hold on a second. I think they can do better. Let me I go to, let's say, Allison for some reason, and I'll have her turn the headlock face towards this camera instead so we can see it better. Then we'll go film it again. Director will look at me, and I'll say, hey, I'm good with my part. How are you with your part? Okay, I'm good. So we're in a sense directing it behind the camera also. And we're there from, so it's not just the wrestling. Then, I got a concept meeting for episode, let's say episode 2, we're on episode 2, a concept meeting to where I'm actually talking about reading the script for the first time with all the production, how we want to do it. Then from there, I'll go back to training or go and filming. And then next day we'll have a production meeting from episode 1, what we're on. So I'm jumping all over the place, and we're filming 2 episodes at a time sometimes. And, we're spread, if they've got a stunt over here where they got a car stunt, well, then if the stunt coordinator needs me on that, she'll bring me over and I'll be doing that too. So I'm hands-on all the time.
And there's a million things going on, because what you're saying, man, you're working, this is a show about these women of wrestling from back in the day. Right. And from back in the day, man, they were just shooting it. And if you go back to when I was still active in the ring, a lot of guys, to this day, I mean, they'll harp upon it, making a pin towards a hard camera. If you go back and you watch anything that Stone Cold Steve Austin did, they would tell me that every now and then, but they knew that I never worked for a camera. Right. The way I had it figured out in my head, I had enough things to do with going out there, try to stomp a mud hole, entertain those people, bring them in, get over and do my thing. I'm not working for a camera. Right. I'm working for the arena. But like we were talking about 20, 30 minutes ago, filming for television, and, these days, and the way production is such a higher level.
Sure.
And, the WWE has it down to a science. So that's fantastic. But now when you're talking about filming it for a television show or Netflix streaming show, and wrestling for specific cameras, there's so much going on. Dude, I just got finished filming my show, Straight Up Steve Austin, and I'm working for different cameras. We go out there before my guests get there. We've got the basic big picture, right? And so we'll do blocking. My guest isn't there, and then when they show up, I'm kind of just moving here, moving there, based on what that director needed, and all these badass camera guys to get these shots to capture it. So, what you're saying with what those girls or athletes are trying to do, actresses are trying to do in the ring, and you're directing them, there's a million things going on that you would never think are going on.
A million. So if we're doing a scene, we're doing that scene, on say in the ring, we're doing it for probably 5 to 8 different angles, and then shooting it over, and then from the low mode, from the high mode, from the handheld,
wide, close,
all that stuff, and
separate coverage.
And then sometimes we'll film part of the wrestling scene, but they want it. I have to cheat it towards the ropes, really close to the ropes, because of the audience. They want to see like somebody in the background. So I have to look at the girls, and the director basically will. This is what we want. The stunt coordinator will go do that, and the stunt coordinator, she's a second unit director also, so she knows her stuff. Yeah. So we're right there, and we're actually directing the girls on how to, film this scene. So we're almost the go between the director and the girls. So our job is to get the scene shot for the director, what the director's vision is. But there's times that the directors have never filmed this before, so they're asking us, what about this? What about that? We had on last season, we had a director that was supposed to be there, and he got sick on the shoot day. He got really sick, like food poisoning. He was really, really trying to do it. He just couldn't be there. So we're filming this big wrestling scene. Thank God. So one of our producers is also films directs a couple episodes every year, Mark Burley. So he was in the production meetings and he saw it. So as he had to step in, and me and Shauna Duggins, the stunt coordinator, looked at him and go, "Don't worry. We got you." We go, "Don't worry about these wrestling scenes. We'll give you exactly what we need." And we had to fill him in on everything. So in a sense, we kind of directed that scene in that episode. It was like a collaboration between all three of us, because we had to. Like the director just had to step in. He didn't know what was going on as far as that. So it's so many more hats, and I'm basically going to college of television. I'm like the Harvard of television right now doing this. It's great. I'm learning everything. It's amazing.
In 3 seasons, there's had to been a mishap, some kind of botch. I follow on Instagram, Russell Botch, whatever it is.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, there was.
That damn page. What's the worst thing you've seen out there as far as people getting smoked?
So I'll tell you. So girls now, thank
you don't
God,
have to name any names.
No.
Yeah.
The girls have been taking care of each other, and there's definitely bumps and bruises and ouch, like a foot in the face, and like doing like a forward roll and getting a foot in the face for sure. But the worst one was episode 2. No, I'm sorry, season 2, the 10th episode. I don't know if did you see both?
Yeah.
Both seasons so far? Did you see the one where I was on it, when I was that character doing the flips and stuff?
Yeah.
So we had to film this part, and I had to do the backflip over Betty, who was Liberty Bell. I had to do this backflip about 15 times from, handhelds and the jib camera and all these different cameras I had to do a whole bunch of times. So if you see, like, everyone would get higher and lower and lower and lower, after doing it, right? But so I had to go on her. Like, so we had this jib camera up there, like, to where it was, like the crane camera, basically, the jib.
Yes.
So they'd have to pan out. And I said, guys, you really got to pan up. I'm doing a big flip. I'm going to hit you guys. So I have to go on her, and usually sometimes, in the ring, and you can't tell when it's fast motion, is I'm looking down, I'm on the third rope looking down between my legs. As I see them run, then I'll do the flip over. Well, because it was a slow motion shot, I just had to just go and trust that she was out of the way. So I have an actress doing this, and not the stunt girl. We've since pretty much have changed this because we did this a few different times. Another time, getting ready to go, and in my mind, I saw her hesitate. I saw her take a step and stop and then go. So I went to go with my flip, and I didn't want to land. I was like, oh, shit. I jumped down. But as I jumped down, she was running forward, and I jumped right on her head. Oh. Now, I don't feel things anymore. You don't feel things anymore. Like, they think that all the girls think I'm made of concrete because they're like, oh my God, sorry, Chavo, I kicked you in the face. I'm like, I don't feel it. It's good. I mean, I really don't feel things too much anymore. Like, as far as getting punched in the face, it's like, oh, whatever. Okay. So, but I landed on her. I'm like, I kind of didn't tell. I was like, you okay? She's like, oh my God, I'm okay. It turns out I concussed her. She finished the shoot, and everything went great. And we actually did a bunch of different things. It was great. But she had the SAG Awards like 2 nights later, or like the next night, something like that. And she tells a story on air where she doesn't really remember that night too much because she was concussed. I mean, from my butt. My butt did. And I felt so bad. I was like, oh my God. I was trying to protect her by not jumping on her. But it was a hesitation. It was a hesitation.
Give and go and like, I'm going to hang back, and no, she's going to come forward, and there it is.
And I don't know if she hesitated or not, but it was one of those things. Like I felt like she did, like something wasn't right.
Right.
Like that timing, and I just jumped down. But when I jumped down, she was coming underneath me, and I just jumped right on her head. And that was, I mean, for me to I go out of my way to protect these girls so much. Like and for that to happen, I felt so bad.
Hey, let's shift gears here for a second before we take a swig of this beer. And it's 12:35, so legally that's
yeah, legally we're good.
That's doable. Did you drive over here? Did you Uber?
I drove, but
we'll only take a couple of sips.
Yeah.
But anyway, just as far as screwing something up in a match, when you knew you screwed something up, what was your mechanism as far as recovering, or how you sold it, or what was your MO? When shit went wrong that wasn't supposed, or a sequence went out of order, whatever, how did you maintain your composure? What was your MO?
Man, I tell people this all the time. Whenever I'm doing, if I do a seminar for, a show, whatever, I never once, and now it's been, when I was wrestling all the time, it's about 300 matches a year, give or take. And you're doing that for about 20 straight years, right? So it was about 6,000 matches, give or take. Never once have I had a perfect match. It's never once have I not effed up in a match. I do it all the time. But now, because I've done it so much, I am a professional effer-upper. I'm professional because I mess up every single match, but I'm so good at messing up that I can cover it without you even be able to tell now. So I mess up all the time. It doesn't really matter to me because now, back in the day, I'm going for a clothesline, the other guy's going for a clothesline, and we both freeze. Back in the day. Now, if there's a frozen spot, you're getting kicked in the gut. We can get back to where we're at. I'm kicking you in the gut, and we're going back to where we're at. I remember one time wrestling Rey Mysterio it was Rey. It was in Mexico, so it was DX, Shawn Michaels, Triple H, and Ray versus me, Edge, and Randy Orton. We were the main event there. Me and Ray had this great program going. They just like all the stories came together, and I shot Ray off. No, we didn't call. We basically had an outline of the match, but everything was done in the match. You got
that's the way it was back then.
It was great. Yeah. So I shoot, with everybody. I didn't call anything with H, with Sean, whatever. I think we kind of had a finish, but that was it. So I get ready to shoot Ray off the rope, and he goes drop toe hold. So as he's coming off the rope, I'm thinking, why am I drop toe holding him? So he called it. So I'm doing a drop toe hold. As I do a drop toe hold, he hangs on to the rope. And so I drop toe hold the air. So as I'm drop toe holding the air, I'm thinking, oh, that's what he meant. I dropped toe hold the air. I stood right back up and then charged him, and he dropped toe hold me right into the 619. As he came around, I kind of powdered out. Well, it was a mess up, Went in the back. Everybody was like, hey, that was really cool. That spot was really cool. Like, you went for it, like a drop toe hold, but then you turn around and he dropped toe hold you. I'm like, yeah, we messed up. They're like, oh, you didn't call that? I go, no. Total mess up. 100%. And they're like, it looked like it was a spot. I said, no, just because
But in theory, what you were thinking was because you were the guy, he was the guy on the run, that you're going to drop to hold
exactly
him because he's coming off the ropes. But he hooked the ropes, you dropped to hold the air.
Exactly. Yeah. So, I mean, and that's, I mean, it's happened, it happens every night. Every time I wrestle now, it happens to where something's messed up. I just cover it up. It doesn't matter. I always say, whenever I'm wrestling, if I wrestle it on a show, like an indie show, and I'll say, hey guys, subject to change. Everything's subject to change.
One of my first botches was in the Dallas Sportatorium, the famous
Sportatorium. Yeah, totally.
I was working with Billy Joe Travis.
That was after Reunion Arena?
No, it was before.
Before Reunion.
Yeah.
Okay, I got you.
And so I was working with Billy Joe Travis. I had 1 month of experience, maybe. Billy had been a headlock.
Stiff some bitch, right? You were
tackle, drop down,
and everybody.
Tackle, drop down, hip toss. So he's got me in a headlock, so I'm shooting him in, right? So I'm figuring, since I'm 250 pounds and he might have been 200, I'm figuring, okay, now in theory, since he's running the ropes, I'm going to take the tackle. But since I'm bigger than him and my green mentality, I'm figuring, okay, this guy's going to take the tackle. Yeah. He's going to go down. Yeah. And so here we go. I sent him off, bam, collision in the ring. And then I did what you're never supposed to do. After hitting each other, it was like, oh, I'm the guy that's supposed to fall down. So after about a 3-second delay, I take them up. so then it gets worse. It gets worse. He goes to hit the ropes because then there's a drop down. Okay, he did the drop down. I'm supposed to get up and hip toss him. Well, when he hit the ropes to come back, I was still down on the drop down because I didn't hear the rest of it. And so he basically starts kicking the shit out of me. Yeah. I messed up one high spot, 2 or 3 botches in one high spot. But anyway, after that, it was like, when things go wrong, you just do your best to cover
it up. And you can always get back to where you're at.
You can always get back to where you're at. But I mean, when there's something so, and at the highest level in a big event, you never want anything to go wrong, but sometimes it does.
That's why you just call it out there and it doesn't ever go wrong. I always love the one where 2 guys both duck at the same time as they're running. They both duck, and the head noggin.
Yeah,
I like that one. That's a good one.
That one, the double duck, or there's all kinds of them. Yeah. But Los Guerreros Mexican Style Lager, 5.0% everywhere.
Craftbeerkings.com.
Let's drink a beer.
Let's do it.
All right, let's hear it for our friends at TrueCar for supporting the podcast from day one. TrueCar knows that every car comes with its share of stories. That ding in your bumper from when you attempted to park somewhere in Los Angeles, or the gas you saved by taking a bus all summer. While you can't put a price tag on your stories, now with TrueCar, you can at least find out what your car is worth when it comes time to sell or trade it in. Just go to TrueCar. Simply enter your license plate number and watch as your car's details pop up. Then, just answer a few questions. Navigation, moonroof, power windows. This way you'll know how much of a hit it's going to be so you can plan ahead. Once you're finished, you'll get a true cash offer sent in minutes, which you can take to a local certified dealer to cash out or trade in. So when you're ready to experience a better way to sell or trade in your car, check out TrueCar today. True cash offer not available in all areas. But hey man, you're going to need some car insurance for that vehicle. Go to geico.com and in 15 minutes, you could be saving 15% or more on car insurance. That's right. Save hundreds of dollars on car insurance at geico.com. Extra money in your pocket? It may just be the most rewarding thing you do today. All right, everybody, give me the go-home cue. It's time to wrap up this podcast and ride off in the sunset. Before I do that, I want to thank my guest, Chavo Guerrero Jr., for coming over to 316 Gimmick Street, rebooking the territory, talking Glow Wrestling, and especially for bringing Los Guerreros Fine Mexican Lager beer. That is some damn good beer. He told you where you could find it. He told you when Glow starts streaming again on Netflix. So make sure you tune in and watch this 3rd season, which everyone's looking forward to. Always a pleasure and always a blast to talk to Chavo, 3rd-generation guy who knows a hell of a lot about the wrestling business and is just a straight-up good dude. Hey, don't forget to rate and review the Steve Austin Show on Apple Podcasts and tell your friends to check us out. And if you want to reach me here on the podcast, send an email to questions@steveaustonshow.com. Remember, my guest next week on the podcast is the one and only immortal WWE Hall of Famer, one of the biggest stars, if not the biggest star in the history of the pro wrestling business, Hulk Hogan. Then after that, 2 weeks later, Booker T. And don't forget, set your DVRs for my brand new show, season premiere on USA Network, right after Raw, August 12th. Hey, speaking of beer, I brought beer all the way down here to Tampa. You will have saw me drink that on Monday night at the Raw reunion. It's the best damn IPA on the planet, and I flew it out here 2,200 miles because it's that good, and I ain't drinking light beer on television. Broken Skull IPA, El Segundo Brewing Company. Find it at Whole Foods and Total Wines if you live in SoCal. If you ain't in SoCal, you might be SOL. Also, 2 badass pocket knives in my collaboration with Cold Steel Knives. The Broken Skull and the Working Man. Find them at my Amazon store, amazon.com/shop/Steve Austin, or go directly to the Cold Steel Knives website and check out all their badass knives. Hey, if you see me out in the woods out there in Nevada, I'll be happily riding my Kawasaki. I want to say one more thank you to all the fine sponsors of the Steve Austin Show, especially TrueCar, Geico, and BetOnline.ag. That's how I'm able to do this podcast for you twice a week for free. Please support them because they support us. If you need more info on my sponsors, check out the show description to this episode for details. Folks, I am on social media, Twitter and Instagram at Steve Austin BSR. Until next time, my name is Steve Austin, and I will catch your ass down the road.
This has been a Podcast One production. Download new episodes of The Steve Austin Show every Tuesday at PodcastOne.com. That's PodcastOne.com.